Welcome to our review of the 2004 German Touring Car Masters Series, which started in the sleepy little town of Hockenheim and some 8 months later also finished there. For 2004, the DTM lineup included former Grand Prix ace Heinz-Harald Frentzen, while Audi joined the show officially with new A4 cars and some of their Le Mans heroes like Emanuele Pirro, Frank Bieler and Tom Christensen. But it was another famous name who started from the pole in the first race, Jean Alesi. He leads into the first turn, behind Audi driver Martin Tomczyk, followed by Tom Christensen, and they battle for second place in the blue and yellow Audis. As ever, it was flying bodywork. Let's see that start again. Meanwhile, Swiss star Marcel Fasler, driving for Opel for the first time, switching from Mercedes-Benz, had this drama. He was soon to retire from the race. Alesi leads the Briton Gary Paffett, the former champion Bert Schneider, Christian Albers and Matthias Ekstrom of Sweden. Alesi, Paffett, Schneider, Albers, Ekstrom. That was the order in the early going. Alesi had to retire from the race on lap 26 due to technical problems. Gary Paffett in the black car with the green mirrors had been promoted for 2004 to the top Mercedes-Benz squad. And here he is giving the master, Bert Schneider, really hard pressure, but he can't overtake. Schneider, of course, the reigning champion, the favourite son of Mercedes-Benz. 3 manufacturers in the championship this year: Mercedes, Opel, and of course Audi. Stefan Mucker in a problem there. Mucker followed by Laurent Aiello. Meanwhile, Hans-Jürgen Hubert, the Mercedes boss, consoles Jean Alesi. Jean always wears his heart on his sleeve. Bernd Schneider suddenly starts to slow. He loses position. And like Jean Alesi, he has to leave the race early. This year, of course, Mercedes running 4-door machines rather than 2-door cars. There is Schneider then, heading towards the pits. And retirement. No points for the champion. And it's Gary Paffett who takes the first round and wins his first DTM race. Christian Albers is second and Ekstrom is third for Audi. It had been a great day for the young British driver.
I knew we were going to be quick in the race, but you know, the car was great. It was great all the time. When I was following people, I could get quite close to them. And everything went well. I managed to get past the 2 Audis in the first couple of laps and was quite comfortable sitting behind John. And I think John had a bit of a problem with the car, I don't know. So I managed to get into the lead there. And then Bernd caught me and, you know, he was pushing hard and I made a bit of a mistake and he got past. But after he got past, I could sit behind him quite comfortably. But, you know, it was going to be so difficult to pass him. And, you know, in the end I didn't have to because he had a problem with the car, I think. But you know, it was just an unbelievable race, as you say. I mean, starting 4th on the grid was good enough for me for the weekend, I think, but winning the race is incredible.
And the champagne sprays, and the DTM has a new first-time winner. Moving on then to Estoril, round 2, the Portuguese former Grand Prix track in southern Europe. town, of course, very much a seafront city and an easy drive from Lisbon. Most of the drivers know the track pretty well. They also enjoy the pleasures of Estoril and the neighbouring seaside area. Estoril also hosts the largest casino in Europe. So one round down, Mercedes-Benz the winner, but it's Matthias Ekstrom on the pole position in the new Audi A4. Ekstrom, Paffett, Schneider, Tomczyk for the top four. Ekstrom fasts away, but Paffett on the inside there, Schneider's in there, Christensen attacks. Tomczyk dropped back from the start after his third position on the starting grid. Ekstrom, Paffett, Schneider, Albers, Christensen. Jean Alesi passing Heinz Harald Frentzen. Frentzen in the Opel, taking to the gravel. Opel this year running Vectras rather than the Astras they ran last year. Pit stops very much a part of the DTM. Paffett and Albers come in for the first of their two mandatory stops that they have to make at every single race. Pit crews work hard. Paffett back on the track in front of Ekstrom. In the lead there, Stefan Mucker. Look at that, Paffett feeding in. Paffett and Ekstrom side by side. Paffett managed to get the line in front of Ekstrom. And look at Ekstrom. Ekstrom down the inside. Great racing in this second round of the DTM. Alesi it is who leads. He hasn't made his pit stop there. You can see it on the graphic. The numeral 1 on the right-hand side indicating who has made the pit stop. Look at this. Bernd Schneider overtaking Bert Maylander. The 4-door Mercedes-Benz alongside last year's 2-door model. The organisers of the DTM deciding that it would be better to race the family saloon shape to help promote those models. Ekstrom, Paffett, Albers. Albers out of shape. Albers almost loses it. They dive in. This is a tremendous battle. Look at Gary Paffett locking up. Ekstrom keeps his line, but Albers it is who dives ahead. In front of them, Jean Alesi, who's yet to stop, of course. This is the real battle for the lead. Christian Albers had a great season last year. Look at that in replay. And a flame spitting from the exhaust, and there goes Paffett locking up the Dunlops, almost charging into the back of Ekstrom. This is what the DTM is all about. Christian Albers, who really established himself last year, coming out of the pits. Can he hold on to that leading position? Currently, it's Christensen, Schneider, Alesi, Fazler and Aiello, all the positions mixed up at the moment until the second pit stops have cycled through. There you see the numeral 2, Albers, the highest pace of the people who have stopped for a second time. More bodywork rubbing, and still it's Ekstrom and Albers. Two of the young stars of the DTM, bang, and kissing bodywork, and then Ekstrom goes to the outside. Switches back to the inside. Meanwhile, here's Heinz Harald Frentzen finding his Opel a bit trickier to drive than a Jordan Grand Prix car. And Christian Albers comes home, the victor of the second round of the DTM.
Overtook two cars in one corner, and I think that was my success. And I just couldn't get into my. I could get in my rhythm and driving some good times in the beginning. But then the last set I put on the car, I got a lot of oversteer, and that's why Matthias Ekstrom was really close to me.
So 2 rounds down. The Dutchman jumps in the air. First round to a Briton, second round to a Dutchman, but 2 victories to Mercedes-Benz. Ekstrom right in there as we move on to round 3. The Adria International Raceway, south of Venice. Yes, Venice, a city with living history. Everywhere architecture from the various centuries. The bustling Grand Canal is one of the favourite tourist spots of Europe. And south of here, the new Adria racetrack is unique in the fact that it has a fully enclosed paddock. There it is, the big paddock building, and it's completely air-conditioned too. Ekstrom, Alesi, Albers, Paffett, it's the similar names on the front row. Ekstrom fastest away at the start. Albers beats Alesi. Very narrow into that first corner. Will they all make it? Very modern race facility. No Italian drivers in this championship, of course, although John Alesi has Sicilian parentage. And there is John Alesi in the AMG silver car, right in the mix. Ekstrom, though, it is who leads. Martin Tomczyk having another good race. Smoke coming from Bernd Schneider's right front wheel. He's obviously sustained some damage in an early skirmish. Frank Beeler accelerating from the pits, and the rear wheel comes adrift. Obviously some problems. The mechanics just working a bit too feverishly. So, Ekstrom leading from Albers, Alesi, Paffett and Bert Maylander having a very good run in the year-old two-door Mercedes. Finally, Tom Christensen gets underway. And look at this. Bang! That's how to destroy the front of your car, courtesy of Heinz-Harald Frentzen. It's bodywork damage, but it will definitely slow him. But Schneider powers past the former Grand Prix driver Heinz-Harald Frentzen. And Frentzen decides to stay out. There's Volker Steichek, the boss of Opel Motorsport. There's Norbert Haug, the boss of Mercedes-Benz. Matthias Ekstrom having a great race though here in Italy. And the Swede takes the checkered flag. Christian Albers finishes second. Jean Alesi completes the podium. A great result for the veteran Frenchman. And look at Ekstrom celebrating, certainly laying the tyre smoke down. Let's hear from him about his success.
Starting from pole position, leading after the first corner, having 2 good pit stops and a perfect strategy, and winning the race. So for sure, I was extremely happy crossing the finish line, because I think me and the team and everybody that work for this deserve it very much, because we were very close in Estoril and now we managed to happen. So for sure, I'm very happy that we managed to win this race, because it's very important for me and Audi and Abt and all the sponsors and mechanics and the whole team.
Yes, the first victory for the Audi A4, prepared by the Abt team. So Audi was celebrating in Italy as we move back to Germany in June for round 4 at the Lausitz Ring. This is the new circuit, built on an open-cast coal mine between Berlin and Dresden. Very much a state-of-the-art racetrack. A 570-hectare site. And an oval track as well as the road course. There you see the road course laid out, uses parts of the oval. There's a huge grandstand here and a large crowd. to see a front row of Albers and Ekstrom, Alesi and Peter Dumbreck, the Scot, starts from 4th position in his Opel. But it's Mercedes and Audi absolutely side by side. Look at this. And Ekstrom it is who gets away first. Look at Dumbreck all over the grass in the Valvoline back car. You can see that start again. Ekstrom leads Albers, Paffett's in there, Schneider and Manuel Reuter, the veteran former champion, also for Opel. There's Paffett just ahead of Schneider. They run close to the wall on the oval section. Ekstrom leading though, fresh from the success in Italy. Paffett is in 3rd, Schneider 4th, Reuter 5th. And look at this, more desperate motoring. Christian Albers out on the grass. Slow-mo action here of Peter Dumbreck. There he is in the Valvoline car, and that's Marcus Winkelhock going round. The youngest member of the famous Winkelhock racing family in a year-old car. Paffett overtakes Ekstrom, seems to have the speed here. Ekstrom tries to answer back. Great onboard action, we've seen it all through the DTM. Very quick pit stop for Christian Albers. Back on track. And overtakes Bernd Schneider in the process, claims 3rd place. Paffett currently leading. Paffett, the winner at Hockenheim, takes the checkered flag again. But it isn't all over yet. There is a regulation, Rule S20.1. It says the cars must drive to the Parc Fermé under their own steam. But Paffett had run out of fuel on the slowing down lap. He was disqualified. And so there was a new winner. And Norbert Haug wasn't happy. For us, it is clear that Gary won the race on the track, and they gained no advantage, and that's important for us. In the spirit of sport, we can't understand this decision, and so we have appealed against it. We'll see what the result will be of that. Of course, we hope for the right decision in the spirit of sport, so the right driver wins the race. But he did not win that appeal, and Ekstrom became the winner from Albers, Schneider and Aiello, having a good run for Opel. And Jean Alesi was credited with 5th place. So we move on then to round 5. Gary Paffett obviously hoping for better luck. We're here at the Norris Ring at the end of June, the famous circuit at the Nuremberg. The city itself is home to over 500,000 citizens. It has medieval roots, historic buildings, churches, a castle. And there's an old wall, 5 kilometres of which have been re-erected. The Germanic National Museum is based here. There are many cultural events, international trade fairs and congresses which bring millions of visitors around the world to this city in northern Bavaria. They hold just the one race here a year, and it always attracts a massive crowd. The paddock area is located close to this large lake. And go! And it's Christian Albers who takes the lead ahead of Gary Paffett. Alesi is swamped. He drops back to 3rd place. But Schneider makes a good start. And it's Tom Christensen. There you see the street circuit nature of this track, this tight hairpin. We look down on it. Quite a traffic jam, but they all accelerate away. Gary Paffett in 2nd place. It's Albers who leads. Alesi 3rd. So Mercedes-Benz, 1, 2, 3, 4. Look at the yellow car, Tom Christensen into the hairpin, too hot. Drops a couple of spots. Gary Paffett kisses the wall in second place, but no damage done, although the wing got a bit of a pounding. Look at this, Heinz-Harald Frentzen spins into Marcel Fassler. What happened?
I just lost the car on the braking, and so I also collided with Marcel Fassler. So we have it was a problem, which is clearly on my side, I have to say. It was my fault. And so it put me out of the race.
Briefly, rain sets in. The fans don't seem to mind too much, but it's not nice for the drivers out on the slick tyres. Everyone tiptoeing around. Oh, Jean Alesi locking up his brakes. And will he hit anything? Yes, into the tyre stack. Hopefully not too much damage done. But it's another win for Gary Paffett. Well, he lost the one the race before, but this one will stick. And Gary Paffett keeps himself in the championship hunt.
I had a good start and I gained already one place. After being fourth, I thought safe tires and brakes in the first stint. But in the second stint I was still slow. I'm not sure why. The third stint the car was quite good still and I could push hard, but I had some problems with lapping cars. And yeah, it was the best I could be as third. This was the maximum I could get.
Yes, so another good result for Mercedes-Benz. And the second official win for Gary Paffett. But also plenty of points for the Swede, Matthias Ekstrom. He was in the championship hunt. Next up, off to China for an invitational race. No points at stake, but a very exciting venture for the DTM. Shanghai, actually on a street circuit, not the new custom-built track, which was the home of the Chinese Grand Prix. And what a backdrop. This huge city with its 17 million inhabitants also has the fastest growth of the motor industry anywhere in the world. Shanghai, famous as an international port, a trade centre, and now an important centre for the media, culture and science. Norbert Haug applauded its inclusion.
We are really happy to be invited to this race. It's the first race downtown Shanghai, the first touring car race in Shanghai. A little bit of motorsport history for sure. It's a prestigious race that everybody wants to win.
Gary Paffett definitely on a roll, starting from pole position, taking the lead. Look at this, Jean Alesi challenged by Tom Christensen. And a crash between Martin Tomczyk and Tom Christian. Not a good day for Audi. Let's find out what happened from Martin. Yes, my start was very good. I was able to overtake Christensen and Alesi on the outside, and then I went into the second turn in second place. At the middle of the turn, I suddenly got hit from behind, and that spun me around. As far as I found out, it was Alesi who hit Christensen, and then Christensen bounced into me. So there was a lot of things happening all at once, but from my point of view, it's a pity that two Audis went out of the race that early. Paffett then ahead of Schneider. Pirro, the best of the Audis, Alesi, and then Matthias Ekstrom. Alesi obviously escaping from that incident. The fans were certainly enjoying the action, which had been held up for some hours when a manhole cover came loose. But at the finish, it was Gary Paffett still in the lead. Paffett ahead of Bernd Schneider here in the closing stages, in the twilight of Shanghai. The pair of them are pulled well away from the rest of the field. And Schneider was pushing really hard, but round the Shanghai streets there isn't much place for overtaking. Ekstrom in third place. Remember, no points being awarded for this race, purely an invitational, but still a prestigious race to win, and what a backdrop for a motor race. Heading now towards the checkered flag. And Gary Paffett won, of course, and then was disqualified at the Lausitz. Won at the Norris Ring. Heading towards another victory here in Shanghai. And the checkered flag falls for the young Briton. Paffett takes the win in Shanghai.
I mean, it was a fun race, but for me it was one of the hardest races of the year. You know, the temperature's amazing in the car, and I didn't have the drinks pull in the car, it wasn't working, so I had no drink for the whole race. So it was very hard, and Bernard was pushing me really hard for the whole race. So it was tough, but I'm so happy to win. It was great to win first race in China.
So the trophy is held aloft, and we move on then to the weekend of July 30th, August 1st. Always one of the biggest races on the DTM calendar. We're at the famous Nürburgring. Now, of course, a modern facility, but in the background always the majestic Nordschleife. We're in the Eifel Mountains. Sometimes the weather can be pretty tricky. Formula One returned here in 1995. And in the past 10 years, we've seen some excellent racing here at this now so modern facility with its outstanding pits. Audi had some famous VIP visitors, including some of Germany's top footballers. It's green for go again. Paffett off the pole. The man really is on a roll. Ekstrom second. Christian Abt loses some ground. He had made a very good performance in the Super Pole. But it's Paffett first. This very tight corner. A lot of people going wide. And what a star Paffett is turning out to be in this 2004 season. Peter Dumbreck with a very strong start. His British drivers first and second. On board briefly with Bernd Schneider. And more action, more damage, more collisions. Problems for the Hessenroder Audis. And look at that, yet again, Heinz-Harald Frentzen is in the thick of things. Frank Biel had also been involved in an incident, the former Le Mans winner. Paffett here being held up by Pirro, who had not been to the pits. This was one of the most controversial moves of the whole DTM series. Emanuele Pirro, another Le Mans winner, makes his car very wide. Audi playing tactics. Tactics that Norbert Haug is not impressed with. Paffett still trying to find a way past Pirro. A sudden switch of strategy. He dives through the pits very early. This is his second stop. But it's a good switch of strategy too. Ekstrom re-enters the track behind Gary Paffett. Now here's a three-way battle between Albers, Fassler and Schneider. There's Peter Dumbreck going through. And there is Gary Paffett. Paffett in front of Ekstrom. It's a hot day here at the Nürburgring and some great action. Albers hits Fassler. The two former teammates, they won't be happy with that.
I could follow Christian Albers very easily, but could not attack and I started to attack when the problem from him began. And then Schneider crashed into me, and Albers tried to block me that Schneider can pass. And I think that was not the correct way to drive.
No, not the correct way to drive. That's his view. While the race continues, Gary Paffett wins again from Matthias Ekstrom and Bernd Schneider. And it's Paffett and Ekstrom who are at the top of the table, fighting for the championship. The rest of the field coming home, the air horns blaze. The grandstand absolutely packed for this battle, and they loved it.
The start was not very good, and into the first corner I was taking a bit easy, and Peter Dambrek overtook me, and honestly I did not fight very much, but luckily 3 corners later he made a mistake and I could pass him back, and from that point I pushed everything I could to catch Gary up, but he was as fast as me and he did no mistakes, so today him and Mercedes were faster, so it's just to say congratulations to them.
Yes, another race victory for Gary Paffett. And the champagne sprays. Moving on into August and round 6 of the German Touring Car Masters. This series shaping up as a great battle between Mercedes-Benz and Audi. Gary Paffett, of course, representing Mercedes-Benz, their lead driver, and Matthias Ekstrom, the fastest of the Audi contenders, leading the championship chase. So, the Motor Park Oschersleben opened back in 1997, they're off. And all Audi front row, and it's Martin Tomczyk who dives into the first corner just ahead of Tom Christiansen. Gary Paffett in 3rd place. Then it's Albers and Schneider, the dust is kicked up. But looking very good here for the Audi team. Meanwhile, Opel's out in the dirt. Let's see that start again. Very good start from Albers in the silver Mercedes. But Martin Tomczyk looking for his first DTM, really charging very hard. Lots of action behind. And nudging Bernd Schneider, really getting stuck in there. And that's Ekstrom passing Schneider. Tomczyk it is who leads, so Christiansen 2nd, Paffett, Albers, Schneider and Ekstrom. But Ekstrom had, of course, just moved up a place. Pit stops as ever in the DTM, absolutely vital. Here is Albers on the charge. And a drive-through penalty for Albers. The battle continues, and look at this, Peter Dambrek just touching Bernd Schneider. I'm obviously disappointed. Peter just touched me from behind and spun me around, and well, that was it. My race was over. Meanwhile, Martin Tomczyk dropping back to 2nd place after the 2nd pit stop, and it's now Tom Christiansen leading the field. The multi-Le Mans winner, looking as if he's going to score his first DTM victory. Drama for Gary Paffett, and Paffett making that mistake, and that allowed Manuel Reuter to move up into 3rd place, and he biffed Gary Paffett off the track unceremoniously. But Reuter about to score the best result for Opel. But it's Tom Christiansen who scores his first DTM win. Tomczyk finishes 2nd, and Manuel Reuter gives Opel their first podium result of the season.
It was really exciting and a really tough race. At the start I lost 1 or 2 places, and we chose a different strategy, especially after the first stint. The second one was a little bit longer, and after the second pit stop we made some adjustment on the tires pressures.
And it worked, because there he is on the podium, but Christensen the winner. Across the border from Germany into Holland for round 7 of the series to Zandvoort, the historic track which was rebuilt in 1999. This seaside circuit amongst the dunes, at one time the proud venue of the Dutch Grand Prix. Well, that is no more. The biggest race here these days is the DTM, and it's bound to attract a very good crowd and some special jewellery, as you saw. So the battle between Audi and Mercedes-Benz, Gary Paffett and Matthias Ekstrom continues. They start alongside each other on the front row of the grid. It's Ekstrom who gets by far the best start. The way it accelerates, the way you'd think that Audi had four-wheel drive, it doesn't. No DTMs are allowed that. All have the same gearboxes. Into the famous Tarzan corner for the first time. And Ekstrom powers away from Paffett, Schneider, Tomczyk, Abt, Christensen, Albers, Reuter, Scheider and Fasler. Christensen still in with a chance of the title, but it's starting to fade a little bit. But his win in the previous round helped. Now look at this. Martin Tomczyk overtakes Bernd Schneider. Clean move by young Tomczyk. Drive-through penalty for Gary Paffett. Well, that will hurt his championship hopes. Apparently just nudged somebody. Was that the incident? Yes, it was. And it's Tom Christensen. He sends a spinning there. Paffett then slowly through the pits. He must be cursing. It's a huge, huge accident for, yes, the race has stopped. Peter Dumbreck in the Opel. A massive accident as the new part of the circuit turns onto the main straight, the original main straight. Look at this. Bang into the barriers, just ran wide, and the Valvoline car over and over, the body panels coming off. But amazingly, Peter Dumbreck walked away unaided.
I'm fine at the moment anyway, you know, for sure my neck will stiffen up a bit, but I've got no broken bones. I was awake through the whole crash. Of course I felt a big impact when I hit into the tyres. But, you know, I was fine and I was trying to get out of the car straight away. And I think that, you know, I'll be fighting fit for the next race, no problem.
The restart then. Ekstrom and Tomczyk now on the front row together, 2 Red Bull cars together. And it's Ekstrom from Tomczyk. Albers up there. Schneider, Paffett. Well, lucky break for Gary Paffett. Emanuele Pirot dropping just behind the Mercedes trio. Go on board with the local driver, Jerome Bleekemolen. One or 2 Dutch drivers in this series. The others, of course, Christian Albers. Look at Paffett diving down the inside of Schneider. That could have been a Mercedes-Benz tactical move. And Schneider now clashing with Tom Christensen. And there's been a bit of rough and tumble in this Zandvoort round, hasn't there? But this is looking good for Ekstrom. The Audi flags wave, the checkered flag waves. 1-2 for Audi. Ekstrom ahead of Tomczyk. Albers finishes 3rd. They like it in the Audi pit. And let's hear now from Martin Tomczyk from 2nd place. Well, I wouldn't have been allowed to overtake Matthias Ekstrom. We were doing exactly the same times, so I wouldn't have thought of challenging him. He is racing for the championship, and everyone who knows us knows that we stick together. So I am 2nd, but he gets to spray the champagne and a faceful. Heading eastward now for the penultimate round of the German Touring Car Championship. The points situation is such that Matthias Ekstrom could actually tie up that title right here in Brno, the second largest city in the Czech Republic, and a city that's seen motor racing since before the Second World War. Now they're on a modern facility. The old road circuit is put into the history books, and since 1986 they've raced here on this excellent facility. Ekstrom off the pole. From Albers, Tomczyk, Christensen, Frensen's well up. But it's Ekstrom who makes an outstanding start. Look at Albers right behind him. And look at Tomczyk and Christensen both challenging the Mercedes-Benz around this long right-hander. Incident between Reuter and Bieler. Hopefully they'll sort themselves out from that. So it's Audi in front. It's looking very good for Matthias Ekstrom, the Swede. Country-loving boy. And it's Ekstrom ahead. On board with Albers here. Trying to overtake Tom Christensen. Now look at this slow-mo in that first corner. Albers collides with Christensen, spins him around. And that was very muscular driving indeed. Now we go on board with Albers, trying to get past Tomczyk. And look at this again, at the same place Albers is involved. And damage to the front of his car, but Tomczyk is spun off just the way that Christensen was. And Christian Albers certainly in the wars, certainly in the middle of the action. And here he is coming out of the pits. Well, that won't improve the aerodynamics, but at least all the four wheels seem to be pointing in the right direction. Go on board then with Matthias Ekstrom. Saw the championship points there. And look at this coming out of the pits. Gary Paffett, bang, 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 with Marcel Fasler. And that was brutal. Well, Gary Paffett and I came out of the pits at the same time, and we had a slight contact, but I was in the worst position since I was on the outside, so I think Gary won that, but as far as I'm concerned, that's racing. I'm not too worried about it. Meanwhile, the wild ride of Albers comes to an end, and he abandons the race, and that more or less gives Ekstrom the DTM title. Paffett still had a very slim chance as the race continued. Current championship points, 20 between the pair of them. So, looks as if it was Ekstrom heading for another victory. And here he is taking the checkered flag. And that assures him of the championship with one race to go. Matthias Ekstrom of Sweden is the champion. Congratulations to him. And congratulations, of course, to the Abt team and to the Audi factory for producing a fantastic new race car in the Audi A4. Let's hear then now from the new champion, only the second ever to come from Sweden.
Today was a very good day, and the first half of the race, or the first stint, were a little bit exciting, and after this I got a big gap and could drive an easy race to the finish, which was very nice. For sure, I'm very happy, and the moment when I crossed the finish line, it's amazing.
And the celebrations continue at Brno. It all started in Hockenheim and it all ends here. But already Matthias Ekstrom, the champion of course, and a huge crowd to celebrate that success. A record 130,000 spectators packed in. Yes, the fireworks and the flares were at the ready. Tomczyk and Schneider at the start. From the front row, another great start from Tomczyk. So often the nearly man. We ride briefly with Marcel Fazler. And mad scenes at the beginning there. Marcel Fazler spinning off, there he is. But up front, it's Martin Tomczyk still looking for that first win from Schneider. Paffett moving up quickly to third place. A lazy fourth. Paffett trying to assure himself of the runner-up spot in the championship. The new hairpin at Hockenheim, which has seen so much action over the years. Here's a replay of the start. And we ride with Marcel Fazler. And he takes a lot of curb and he spins. Maybe he was tapped. Maybe he did it all on his own. And this is Fazler again, dive-bombing Peter Dumbreck, his teammate, spins him around. Well,
I tried to catch up and I tried to overtake Janis. I was already on side by him, a bit too fast, locking wheels, and I hit after Peter Dumbreck, and that's I'm really apologize for him. It was not. Was completely my fault, and I'm sorry for that.
Well, Bernd Schneider here challenging Martin Tomczyk. Remember, the multi-champion Schneider has not won a race this season, and there he takes the lead, passes Tomczyk. And Schneider on the big charge, showing that he has lost none of his touch. Had to play second fiddle this season to Gary Paffett. And Ekstrom passes Albers. That's important for the Constructors' Championship. Audi versus Mercedes-Benz. So that battle continues. But out front, Bernd Schneider. And look at Schneider, huge lock-up from him. Schneider going off the track, but amazingly had pulled away enough to continue to lead the race. Now Ekstrom challenging Jean Alesi. Jean having a good race here. Gone through the season without a victory this year, however. Bernd Schneider takes his 30th DTM win. Locks it up. And look at this, bang, bang, bang at the end. Bits of bodywork fly. And in the process, well, Tom Christensen moves up a place. Well, it's been spectacular racing all through the DTM. Audi scoring the victory this time. But nevertheless, Norbert Haug of Mercedes-Benz was happy.
I think it was a perfect race day. We had 4 cars in the points. Bernd Schneider won in quite a convincing manner the race. He was struggling a little bit during the course of the season, but I think he showed what he can do. He was one of the fastest guys on the track and drove as fast as he should once he has been in the lead. I think he had a great overtaking maneuver of Martin Tomczyk, who was a fair player all the time. I mean, that needs to be mentioned as well. And a record crowd of 135,000 spectators over the course of the weekend, so a fantastic race, and that's the most important thing.
And once again, Norbert Haug really sums it up very well for us. But what about the boss of Audi? He had a lot to celebrate.
Man kann versuchen, das zu verteidigen,
well,
was man erreicht hat.
Now we have to try and defend what we have already won this year, and we know it'll be very difficult, and that means that after some celebrations we will address the work we have to do for 2005, and I know that there is a lot of work. I think next year there's going to be another excellent season of DTM racing. And the Opel view.
The final race was not that what we expected before. But okay, we had an accident between two Opel drivers, Marcel Fessler crashed into Peter Dunrake. That means we lost these 2 cars. Laurent Yellow had a gearbox problem. We saw the problem with Manuel Reuter. There was a hub broken. One of the Mercedes drivers hit Jerome Blackamoor. So in the end, we had only Timo Scheider and Heinz-Harald Frenz in the race. And it was really not a successful weekend, and not that what we expected in front of Hockenheim.
Yes, so the final celebrations of 2004. We had the champagne spray. We also had the donuts out there. And let's check out the final points. Ekstrom, the winner, 74. Paffett, 57. Albers, 50. Tom Christensen, 4th on 43.
Goodbye from Hockenheim. I hope to see you in 2005 in the DTM.